Good morning and welcome to the first AQC pod. My name is Gwenaëlle. I am the new Administrative and Communication Manager here at the AQC. And before starting the hot topic we have selected for you today, just a few words on the AQC. So the Association for Quality Assurance of Leather Bracelet Manufacturers was founded in 2014. It is a Swiss-based international association with its head office in Neuchâtel, and our members are leather bracelets manufacturers for the watch industry. So in accordance with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals relevant to our core business, our vision is to ensure leather bracelets with the highest level of safety and act for a responsible global supply chain. Our mission is to provide a center of competencies to facilitate traceability and chemical compliance for leather bracelets. Our strategy lies on 4 pillars: traceability, chemical compliance, but also credibility and communication. Our values are expertise, safety, mutualization, confidentiality, in cooperation with all stakeholders. So today we greatly appreciate your interest. Indeed, almost 100 people have registered. So we welcome watchworks, watch brands, tanners, farmers, laboratories, organizations, and of course, leather bracelet manufacturers, members of AQC. So please feel free to ask questions or share comments at any time using the raise hand button at the top right of your screen. When you finish speaking, please unclick the raise hand button to unselect it. And of course, please use the mute mode when you are not speaking. So after this pod, we will send you this presentation, a satisfaction survey, and an invitation, for the next AQC pod. So now I give the speech to my dear colleague, Sébastien.
Thanks a lot, Gwenaëlle. It's really a pleasure to have you on board today. And we really wanted to share with you some hot regulatory topics, and especially the development of 2 European REACH restrictions. The first one is dealing with skin sensitizing substances, and the second one is dealing with bisphenols in articles. First of all, the most important for us at the beginning is skin sensitizing substances. So just a small definition of what is a skin sensitizing substance. It is a substance that will induce an allergic response after a skin contact. But it's not so simple because there are 2 steps. The first step with that kind of substances is the sensitization. So it needs a sufficient dose to elicit the immunological system. So during this first contact, there is only a low or no response, but there is the development of an allergic background. And when you secondly met these substances, you've got an allergic reaction with a very small quantity of the substance, but the response is very intense. The target of the EU restriction is to block the first step, sensitization. And by avoiding that first step, you eliminate all the allergic reaction, therefore. The restriction proposal that was made 2 years ago is concerning all the articles made of textile, leather, fur, hide, and synthetic leather. And these articles are in contact with skin. So it's a wide range of articles because it concerns upholstery, like the sofa, handbags, backpacks, leather straps, that is the most important for us today, also footwear. And the clear target of the restriction is to severely limit skin sensitizing substances in that kind of articles. So first of all, just a reminder of the process of a REACH restriction. So here you've got the different steps with the theoretical timelines. So everything is started with the publication of an intention, and then during 1 year, the authorities prepare the dossier and then publish a proposal, a restriction proposal. Then there is, just after the publication, a public consultation period of 6 months, and everyone can comment the proposal. And in the same time, the two committees of the European Chemical Agency, the Socio-Economic Committee, SEAC, and the RAC, Risk Assessment Committee of the ECHA, are preparing, in the same time, a draft opinion to prepare the text. Then, when the draft opinion is published, there is a second public consultation of 60 days. And after 1 month, the SEAC publish the final opinion. This final opinion is transmitted to the European Commission that draft an amendment to the Annex 17 of the REACH regulation. And then there is the decision of the European Committee, and the restriction enters in force. With the restriction for skin sensitizing substances, it started in January 2018. We participate to the two public consultations through the Swiss Watch Industry Federation. During this participation, this comment, we contest or propose other limits for the substances. And where we are now, we are just before the publication of the final opinion. But in theory, it was 1 month, but we have to, we are now, and there is no news about this document since August last year. So it could be published tomorrow. So now we are going to enter a little bit deeper in the substances that are going to be limited in that restriction. So we are going to have a focus on each of these substances. So the first one is dispersed dyes. The dispersed dyes are dyes that are commonly admitted not to be used for leather manufacturing. But to achieve proof of compliance, we integrated this list of dispersed dyes into our AQC ASL for leather in October 2020. And for the moment, since October 2020, there is no detection so far of these substances. So it's a very positive message that it should not be a problem with leather. That's why we put a green light on the right-hand side of the screen. The advice we can make for tanners is that we put on the slide the list of the CAS number of all that substances. Please have a look to your chemical database, and the most important is to give us the information if they are present or absent of the tanneries. It will give more assurance to all of us if they are absent from the tanneries. A very important substance you may know is chromium-6. So chromium-6 is generated by the oxidation of chromium present in leather. And when it's oxidized in chromium-6, it is an highly allergenic substance. The current REACH restriction for the leather in contact with skin is 3 milligrams per kilo, and the European Chemical Agency proposed to limit it more stricter by lowering the limit to 1 milligram per kilo. Just a focus on the method. The current ISO method for the chromium-6 titration, you can see on the left-hand side of the slide, between 0.5 milligram per kilo and 3 milligram per kilo allows you to detect chromium-6, but do not allow you to a precise quantification. I think the labs will be okay with me. And on the right-hand side of the slide, you've got an example. And the example came from a sample we sent to 11 laboratories during the last AQC inter-laboratory study in November 2020. So here you can see that the same sample could be with a concentration of chromium-6 ranging from 0 to 1.6, with a distribution all over the values. So the conclusion is that the current method do not allow us to have a precise quantification for 1 milligram per kilo. And our advice is, for the moment, to not interpret and make forecasts with the values you have from the labs between 0.5 and 3 milligram per kilo. And we are really waiting for a new method. And this new method will come from the European Normalization Committee, CNTC 28289. If there are any question about the substances, you can interrupt me whenever you want. Just raise your hand. No question, we go further. Another important substance for leather is formaldehyde. So formaldehyde is the simplest aldehyde, but maybe one of the more toxic. We all know that there is some little traces of formaldehyde in leather. For the moment, the substance is not regulated in Europe. There is no restriction about it, but it's already regulated in Asia with a limit of 75 milligram per kilo, a limit we are all using for leather. But the ECA, in the restriction proposal, proposed 30 milligram per kilo. So I propose you to have a look to all the AQC data and assess the impact of such lower limit. So here I present you the goal of AQC. More than 1,000 AQC leather sample tested with the ISO method for formaldehyde. So you've got all our results on the chart, covering all the leather we test at AQC, alligator, calf, all the finish. All the references could be found in that chart. With the current limit, the non-compliance rate is about 1%. And we precisely know the reason of such non-compliance because there was a voluntary use of formaldehyde by a tanner. It was a non-compliance we solved for this supplier. But if you go in the chart between 30 milligram per kilo and 75 milligram per kilo, the potential non-compliance rate is increasing to 6%. And dealing with 6% of non-compliance for the leather is assessed by ourselves as significant. That's why we put an orange light on that topic. What you should know is that the values between 30 and 75 milligram per kilo are centered on very few tanneries. So our advice for tanners is to, one, check the formaldehyde with us and make a status on the train of formaldehyde you have in your tannery. Now we are going to deal with substances that are associated with dyes. So the first one is PPD. So it's an aromatic amine that is used in the synthesis of some dark dyes, brown or black. And this substance is highly allergenic and very well known, because you've got an illustration of the effect of such substances by the example of the black henna tattoo that are really allergenic for some people. So ECHA proposed to limit that substance in leather to 50 milligram per kilo. So as soon as we know the future regulation, we added PPD in our testing scheme. And here I present you the PPD results for about 200 leather sample tested at AQC with the ISO method for aromatic amines. And what you can observe is that most of the leather are okay, but there are 2% of the sample which are containing hundreds of ppd. And these results of hundreds of ppm were found in black and dark brown leathers, so almost logic. So the assessment of this data is that the frequency of non-compliance should be low, 2% is low, but the impact will be huge because it will be eliminatory in the future. The reception will be refused because they are going to be rich non-compliant. So our advice for Tanner is to check the dark colors references with the AQC RSL testing and take the preventive action to eliminate such dyes from their leather. We still have time for this. Two other substances that are related with the dyes are cobalt and nickel. So it is two metals that are well known for their sensitizing properties. So cobalt is found in leather in the form of cobalt complex dyes that could be from yellow to brown. And with the data we achieved in 2020 with total metal testing, we know that cobalt complex dyes are widely used in leather. About 20% of the leather contain significant content of cobalt. But in another way, nickel could be found in few leathers. It's not very frequent, and the concentration are almost very low. So ECHA proposed for that two metals. At the beginning, they proposed total metal, but after the first draft and the comments, they moved to extractable cobalt and nickel. So they propose a limit of 20 milligram per kilo for extractable cobalt and 40 milligram per kilo for extractable nickel. So as soon as we know this project, we implement extractable metals in our leather testing. So extractable means that it's the metals that are released, extracted by synthetic sweat solution. So we tested 61 leather samples from AQC with the method for extractable metal. And on the two charts on the left, right hand side, sorry, of the screen, you can see that cobalt has been only detected once above the future limit, and for nickel, all the samples were below the proposed limit. So here it's the same that for PPD. The frequency of non-compliance should be low, so 1 or 2%, but it will be also eliminatory. So it is exactly the same advice that please check extractable cobalt and nickel and take all the actions to prevent it. Last but not least is the category of skin sensitizers, so the substances that are classified H317 in the CLP regulation. HECA wants to limit them, this family of 1,100 substances, to 40 milligram per kilo in leather. So it's a huge task, and for the moment, there is no technical solution to test them. So AQC is really waiting for a normalized screening method, and we know that it's on the program of the European Normalization Committee for leather methods. But in the meantime, we are not going to stay without doing nothing, but we can start to identify some very good candidates. And for this, we have a specific plan for this. So you can send us the bracelet back from the market after a skin reaction, because we have a specific investigation plan for allergens, in which we test all the substances I have presented you, and we have also a screening method that is not normalized for the moment. And of course, we will share the result with the brand that send us the results, the bracelets. So this testing scheme on bracelet back from the market allowed us to start identifying some very good candidates to be eliminated in the bracelet. So with all this information, the main message for this restriction, and at the moment we are today, is that the restriction is close to tomorrow. It could be very soon implemented. We don't know, but it could. So far, there is no blocking point identified, but we didn't have all the technical tools to assess all the limits. But to be fully ready, we really need all stakeholders to collaborate further. So that's the message of that part.
Sébastien?
Yeah.
We have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I start with the last one from David Christian. So is 40 ppm each meant, or 40 ppm sum of all? If you understand the question, yeah?
Yeah, of course. No, it's 40 ppm each. And it will be very difficult to achieve such limit for the substances in the first part, but also to achieve the analytical limits, sensitivity to get all that substances in a screening. Microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we have another question. So Gustavo from Coutances. Maybe Gustavo, do you want to take the speech? Do you want to?
Yes, if I may.
Thank you.
Hope you see me. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to inform you that on the 21st of April, ECA has updated its website, and the compiled RAC and CHEMICAL opinion. It's really a few days ago, so you, it's really
I miss it because we prepared just before.
Exactly. No, it takes us all by surprise. So don't worry, that happens. But actually, what the points that you have made on chromium, which is really for us a very important point, has not changed. So the limit for 1 ppm, the reduction of the limit to 1 ppm for chromium 6 remains in place, and that is really a problem, because there is no test method that can achieve. Oh well, there are machines that can go down to 1 ppm level, but the problem is not the machine, is not the instrumentarium for making the test. The problem is the extraction of the solution to be tested from the leather. That there is the problem, because you have to find 1 ppm in an ocean of chromium 6 and an ocean of chromium 3, which is really it's a challenge that is really very difficult. So we'll see. In any case, there is going to be a transition period for making sure that there is going to be no problem with this with this level. But there, I can also tell you that we have heard also from our counterparts in the United States or in Brazil that they're going to challenge this this limit of 1 ppm, because without any test method that can go down to that limit, it is a limit of 1 ppm for chromium-6 in leather is tantamount to a ban for chromium-10 leather, which is at over 80% of all the leathers that are in circulation in the world, which is really a big problem. So we'll see how this is going to evolve and what the Commission is going to do. Since you are in Switzerland, I invite you also to contact your authorities there and to put pressure on the European Commission not to engage in the reduction of the limit for chromium-6 to 1 ppm, because that is going to be a big problem. The other point that I would like to do is I need to read again the compiled RAC and CERC opinion, but my understanding is that the limit for all those other substances that have no specific limitation that you have presented, which is very good, so cobalt and so on, the limit is 110 milligram per kilogram.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I want, of course, it's so recent, we have to check it again. But of course, we would then there be a little bit more relaxed, because as you have very well done, the tests indicate that the incidence of non-compliance would be relatively low for most of these substances. But of course, the biggest problem is that there is no predictability. There is one of the other issues that the RAC and CERC is proposing is that there should be a dynamic link, that any new substance that is going to be coming onto the annex of the classification, labeling, and packaging regulation would automatically be then limited with this standard limit, without even knowing whether it is relevant for leather or not, and all these things. But apparently, and that is also one of the reasons why we need to look at it very carefully, you and me and all our technicians, is that this dynamic link seems to have been changed to a semi-dynamic link, where it might be possible that there could be some examination and checking whether it makes sense, whether there shouldn't be a lower limit or a higher limit, etc. But in any case, that there is going to be some possibility proposed by ECA in these two opinions. But
absolutely, it is not finished with that kind of substances and this very problematic limit. For sure. Thank you very much for your input. And be sure that I will read from today the final draft. Your microphone is off.
I'm going to send the link to you so that you have it, so that you download it just after.
I know where to find it. Thank you very much, Gustavo.
Pleasure.
So, Gwenaëlle, because we are 30 minutes after the beginning.
I think we should, if this is okay for everybody, I would suggest to talk about the bisphenols next time. If this is okay for you, Sébastien.
For me.
And if there is, maybe there is other questions we could answer now. And if not, I'm just going to close the session today. So, thank you very much for being here with us today. Of course, the AQC remain at your service. And please feel free to send us questions or comments. So see you very soon, at least in May, for the next AQC pod. And of course, if you come to the beautiful country of Neuchâtel, please feel free to come and visit us in the office for a tea or a coffee. Okay, so thank you and bye-bye. See you soon.